All right, so after my hiccup last episode, we are now finally on to talking about Mandalorian Season 3. I've double checked it. We are all good to go. We are here to talk about Season 3 episode. Wait, what? What do you mean we're still on the Book of Boba Fett? I cross-referenced it. Mando is in a majority of the episode again. And also consider, look, who's in the episode? Look who's in the episode. Boba is in it for like maybe 2 minutes. Okay, all right. I've been told by my superiors that we are still talking about Book of Boba Fett. So let's just carry on, shall we? Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strung from QuickTime Reactions, and you have found me on my way to The Mandalorian and Grogu, in which I'm going to be covering off all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, as well as the Book of Boba Fett, and today we are here to talk about episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, which is entitled From the Desert Comes a Stranger. This episode was directed by Dave Filoni, and it was written by not only Jon Favreau, but also Dave Filoni as well. And if you watch the episode, that makes all the sense in the world. In this episode, Boba consolidates all of his forces together to go up against the Pike Syndicate. But before Mando can join up with the crew, he wants to go say hi to his son, Grogu. But he is a bit preoccupied with his Jedi training. Meanwhile, though, the Pikes have an ace up their sleeve that is very, very deadly. Both sides are convoluting their forces, and in the next episode, we're going to see who comes out on top. So, again, if you want to hear my thoughts on, does Boba need to be the main focus of this series, go back and watch my episode 5 review where I go into, talking about, into all of that. But again, I had a lot of fun watching this episode. Just all of the memories of watching this when it first came out. It all came flooding back. So let us go into what happened. Mando, of course, is trying to find out where Grogu is. And he tracks him down to this planet that has a lot of green vegetation. And he was able to do that because R2 was giving him a signal. And Mando walks up and says, "Hey, buddy, I'm looking for Skywalker." And R2 leads him to a place where a lot of droids, painted similarly to R2, are building a temple. And then R2 decides, yep, this is the perfect time for me to take a nap. And I just love one of those ant droids just building Mando a bench to sit on. Meanwhile, we go and see Grogu is there with Luke, of course. Now, if you remember back in my Season 2, Episode 8 review, talking about, the de-aging of Mark Hamill for Luke Skywalker, you'll remember that at the end of Season 2, it was a bit rough. But after that, and I remember this very vividly, I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel but a YouTube channel did a deep fake to make the appearance of the face look a little bit better. And then Lucasfilm decided to hire on that guy to do some work for him. And this ended up being that work. And it looks absolutely insane. It legitimately looks like a de-aged Mark Hamill. Like, it is absolutely wild how good it looks. And another thing that I found very smart is that he does speak in this episode. Luke Skywalker does speak in this episode. But I think they wisely kept a lot of his dialogue off camera, and they only put on cam the certain words and certain phrases that I think they felt comfortable in showing. So, to not have us fall completely into the uncanny valley. So I think that was probably a wise decision on their end. But Luke tells Grogu, like, is this what you remember, it like being back home? And he also mentions, well, do you even remember home? And, we get a flashback to what it was like for Grogu the night of Order 66, with a whole lot of Jedi protecting him from the clone troopers that stormed the Jedi Temple on that night. And we will actually get to know a little bit more of this backstory in Season 3. Meanwhile, we cut back to Mando, who's waiting when he is startled when he hears a branch snap. And he pops up and he sees Ahsoka. Rosario Dawson comes in to make a cameo. And Mando's like, well, I wasn't expecting to see you here. And Ahsoka says, well, I'm an old friend of the family. That is to say the very least of that situation. And, they have a nice little catch-up. Ahsoka tells Mando, that the building that the droids are putting up will soon be a great temple for young Jedi students. Yeah, and then Kylo Ren will destroy it in the sequel trilogy. And Mando tells Ahsoka, I want to see him. And she says, I don't think that's a good idea. You two have a very strong bond with each other. If he sees you, he might be persuaded not to continue with his training. And she even brings up the point, are you doing this for him or are you doing this for yourself? And Mando is, I don't want to say convinced, but he does not end up going to see him in person. He sees him at a distance. But he does give Ahsoka the chainmail wrapped up in the little pouch to give to Grogu as a gift. After that, we get a little couple of scenes of Luke training Grogu, very much in a similar way to how Yoda trained Luke on Empire Strikes Back. We even get to see the what I'm going to call the reflexes droid from A New Hope that Obi-Wan had Luke use with the lightsaber. And seeing all that just put a big smile across my face. Ahsoka and Luke had a conversation. Luke mentions, I don't even feel like I'm even teaching him anything. It's like I'm just unlocking memories for him. But he also mentions that I don't believe that his heart is fully into this training. And Ahsoka gives Luke the chainmail, and I love that Luke says, "Will I ever see you again?" And Ahsoka says, "Perhaps." Now, this doesn't mean that, Luke's going to appear in Ahsoka Season 2. I'm not saying that in the slightest. But it'd be cool if Luke were to show up in another Star Wars show. Who knows? He might. I don't know. I'm going to continue because basically after it is basically just one more scene in which Luke and Grogu are sitting inside of the completed temple, and Luke gives Grogu a choice. He can take the chainmail vest and go back to the Mando and forego his training as a Jedi, or he can take a lightsaber, more specifically, Yoda's old lightsaber, and continue his training as a Jedi. Because Luke reminds him, a blink for you, Grogu, is a lifetime for others. Because you also have to remember that he's 50 already. Like, he ages a lot slower than, other people. And then, of course, the show ends with, Grogu not making that decision. But to cut back to what is going on Tatooine, the episode actually opened up with the Pikes doing some business, trading some credits for some spice when Cobb Vanth shows up. Timothy Oliphant returning from Mandalorian Season 2, and he basically puts a kibosh on the whole purchase agreement that was going on, and has one of the Pikes, well, the last remaining Pike, because Vanth shot the rest of them, to basically get back into town and forget all of that happened, and kicked the box full of spice away. Meanwhile, at Jabba's palace, everybody is there. Boba, Fennec, the Modders, Chrysanthemum, the Gamorreans, as well as Mando after his little trek to see Grogu. Fennec says that with Chrysanthemum and Mando there, they have the experienced muscle that they need, but they still need more bodies in order to be able to take on the Pikes. And Mando's like, well, I might be able to help out with that. And so he goes to what was Mos Pelgo, but now that they've renamed it Freetown. And I love that when Mando flies by, he passes the Jawas on their little crawler, and they have the Krayt Dragon skull on top of it, which I find awesome. Not only that, but inside of the cantina area, the citizens of Freetown actually put the rib cage of the Krayt Dragon inside of the cantina area. And Mando and Cobb go back and forth, saying, Mando asks, can you guys help us out with this? And Cobb's like, look, we really want to help you, but, this sounds like a city problem. Pikes aren't giving us any trouble out here. And Mando points that out and says, yeah, they're not giving you trouble right now. But who's to say that, with due time, that they won't come encroaching on your territory and start, doing deals on your guys' property. And Vanth eventually says, I'll see what I can do. And then Mando goes on his way, and Cobb actually tells the barkeep to basically get a town meeting ready. Because, of what he's seen, they're gonna go into this fight. But, like the title says, a stranger from the desert comes into view for Cobb Vanth. And this guy looks a little bit weird. He's got breathing apparatuses on his cheek that run to his back. He doesn't have a nose. He's got red eyes, and he's got a brim hat. And he also sounds like, a smoker smoking 10 packs a day. For those that do not know, this is the legendary bounty hunter known as Cad Bane. And he is voiced by the same man who gave him his voice in the animated shows, Corey Burton. And Bane says, look, whatever Fett's paying you, we'll match it if you just lay out of this. And the deputy of the town, who gave Mando a little bit of guff for parking his starfighter really close to town, also makes things a little bit worse. And Bane looks up and says, hey, I wouldn't put my nose into other people's business. And he also tells Cobb, yeah, you shouldn't have given up your armor. And it literally turns into a Western standoff. Who's going to draw first? And it was literally Cobb taking his eye off and eyeing his deputy for just a slight second that gave Cad Bane the advantage. Shot Cobb and killed the deputy. And Cad Bane let everyone know in Freetown that Tatooine belongs to the Syndicate. And if you just let them do their business, they won't hurt you in any way. And that infuriates the barkeep to let you, the audience, know that, yeah, they're gonna be in this. They're gonna be in this fight. Meanwhile, in Mos Espa at the Sanctuary, 2 more Pikes head in with a I forget the term that they use for it. The same thing that was carrying the credits earlier in the episode, as well as the Beskar in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. They come in with one of those, they sit at a table, and then immediately book it out of the building. And sure enough, yep, it was an explosive that basically destroyed the entirety of the Sanctuary and killing pretty much everyone that was inside. So, yeah. Boba's alliances are ready. The Pikes have made their first move. Who's going to end up winning this turf war? Well, we'll have to wait until the next episode. But that is it for my review of the Book of Boba Fett Episode 6. Again, I had a really fun time watching this. It has been an absolute joy going back and rewatching this and rekindling why I really loved this show. And I hope by me doing this rewatch series that you guys have gained a much more appreciation for this series. But the next episode that I cover is going to be the finale. And then we are on to the last leg of our journey, which is Season 3 of The Mandalorian. But until then, guys, be safe out there. And if you see someone walking up to you from the desert, it's either one of two things. One, they're a bounty hunter and they're going to try and kill you. Or two, they might be looking for some water. It might be the second option, but always keep your wits about you because you might encounter option 1. So just leave both options as available, okay? And I will catch you guys next time.